Hello everyone, today I'm going to be explaining the lore and story behind MCR's current tour, Long Live the Black Parade. Now you're probably wondering, why am I doing it like with the slideshow style and everything? Well, a couple reasons. One, I recently saw an Anthropo video where he explained basically his whole idea behind his latest plan behind a video or whatnot to a live audience, even though I don't have a live audience, but he explained it in this presentation style format, which I thought was pretty cool. So I thought, why not try that? And also I needed a way to keep me on focus while I explain the lore and the history behind it, because apparently I've been known to say words repeatedly that could end up being a drinking game someday. You know who you are. So anyway, we're going to explore the story and the lore behind the Black Parade. Let's get into this. So, what is the Black Parade? Okay, so the Black Parade is My Chemical Romance's 2006 landmark album. It is a rock opera concept album about a man known as the patient who is dying of cancer, and basically this album talks about his experiences with death, the afterlife, and his life prior to the experience that he has ended up going through. One particular song from this album is Welcome to the Black Parade, and it kind of sets the story for when death does come from. It comes in the form of his favorite memory, where his father took him to see a marching band, which is the Black Parade. That's how the Black Parade plays in, to this whole story about death. It was also the alter ego for My Chemical Romance from 2006 to 2007, and it was never seen again until 2025. So, if they were killed off in 2007, how did they return? Glad you asked. Well, in order to figure out how they exactly returned, we had to go a little bit backwards. Besides just the whole tour announcements and everything, we gotta go a little bit more backwards to achieve the full backstory. So basically, in 2013, My Chemical Romance had broken up. A lot of people were devastated by that. Personally, in my opinion, it's probably a good thing that they broke up, because already by that time they were exhausted as a band, and basically they had felt forced, when it came to using their creative energy to make more albums because the public demanded it, or the record label demanded it. So in a way, it was good for them to at least take a little bit of a break and try to, regroup later on. So in 2019, as we all know, My Chemical Romance had reunited in LA for a one-off show, which ended up becoming the reunion tour in 2022 to 2023 after the COVID pandemic started to fade a little bit. In August 2024, this is where the story began. August 2024, Gerard Way contacted a man by the name of Nate Picos. He is a font and letter designer for comics, film, TV, most notably being Marvel, and has designed for the Umbrella Academy, a show that is based on Gerard's own comic book series. He asked him if he could create a new language in the alphabet style inspired by the Cyrillic alphabet, but nothing official, nothing too similar to be considered official language. As that was happening, the announcement for the lineup, When We Were Young Festival in 2024, had been announced, and My Chemical Romance were the headliners. Now, at this particular festival, all the bands that were selected to perform at this festival, pretty much all the major bands that were selected to perform at this particular festival in 2024, were told, play the set list, play the majority of your set list, the most iconic album in its entirety. So for My Chemical Romance, that was obviously the Black Parade. That was their most iconic album. So for the first time since October 24, 2007, the My Chemical Romance had officially performed the Black Parade in its entirety for the first time in literally almost 17 years. Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. So people speculated online since that performance if My Chemical Romance could be planning a new tour, a new album, or even if they were just going to dress up in the outfits when We Were Young performance was going to happen. But nothing was certain. Okay, now let's talk about When We Were Young Festival. Now, as the festival finally happened, My Chemical Romance took to the stage to perform the Black Parade in full for the first time since 2007. At the start of the show, you can hear the hospital heart monitor beep from the beginning of the album. If you ever listen to the beginning of the album of the Black Parade, that's what happens. You hear the heart monitor beep and everything. But however, though, for this particular performance, it was modified to fit the timing of the band's entrance on the stage. So meaning that there was a slower heart monitor, which, I don't know, could mean something. It could be a little bit more eerie vibe, considering it was almost Halloween. The stage itself was completely white all around, likely to represent the hospital setting as seen in the Black Parade music video, though there are projections during the show along with some lights. Another thing to point out is that a new touring member by the name of Kaylee Goldsworthy is introduced as a touring violinist for the band. One other thing that stands out is that Gerard barely mentions anything. Now, if you're a fan of MCR, you might know that Gerard usually talks to the crowd during his performances. Like, there's like a compilation video like online where it's this full clips of him talking to the crowd. He loves speaking to the crowd during like breaks between songs. So it was really interesting that he didn't mention anything. Now, however, though, this could be because, you know, when you're playing a festival, you know, you're obviously going to have a limit of how long you can perform on stage. So this was probably because of, you know, limitations on time, but also they were probably also keeping it a surprise because the band is known to blurt out maybe some hints or whatnot if they keep on like talking about like this certain subject, which is why they don't really do interviews. So yeah, just point that out there. At the end of Famous Last Words, a reprise of Welcome to the Black Parade is played, bringing the album full circle, which I thought that was pretty cool, honestly. And that's actually probably the perfect ending for Famous Last Words, in my opinion, because there's two endings to the Famous Last Words, which is the music video and the album version. The album version just kind of fades out the instrumental with the vocals still intact, and it just cuts off right there, whereas the music video kind of has like a proper ending to the song, which, I mean, both endings work in their own way, but me personally, I think the Welcome to the Black Parade reprise ending is actually a lot better for Famous Last Words, because the Welcome to the Black Parade kind of summarizes kind of in a way everything that the album is about if you don't have time to like listen to the album. All right, next slide. So after the show, it seemed quiet until this happened. My Chemical Romance posted on their Instagram. They posted this along with the caption. Now, this was posted on November 11, 2024. They posted this photo, which is supposed to be the MCR logo, but in a new language. We'll get to that in a second. And the caption, they said, "If you could be anything, what would you be?" This is likely a reference to in Welcome to the Black, not Welcome to the Black Parade, but in the end, the beginning track of the album, when Gerard mentions the line, "When I grow up, I want to be nothing at all." This is definitely a reference to that line for sure. But despite knowing the reference, like to the caption line, there was still a question to all of this. Like, what did this exactly mean? And there was a few theories that fans had. Next slide. There were fan theories, and the few fan theories that there was that a new album was on the way, specifically being the Scratch Fits album known as The Paper Kingdom, the album that they were supposed to make after Danger Days, but never ended up happening. That was one of the theories, that it would be that particular album. Another theory is the Black Parade tour revival, because, like I said, the caption references a lyric mentioned in the end, the beginning track of the album, and people have decoded that language of what it looks like. It looks like it says KCR, when in reality it's this in their language that they've created, and people have decoded it to either being the logo MCR or the Black Parade acronym, basically. And the other theory was that it could just be like just a regular new MCR tour, like usual. And then this next slide gets interesting. So, you know, a lot of people were giving all these theories and whatnot, but the next day, this happened. My Chemical Romance has officially released a promo video for the upcoming 2025 tour. And that basically means My Chemical Romance is back once again. So obviously, as we all know by now, the tour is known as the Long Live the Black Parade Tour. Let's go over the context of basically what has been given out so far about the tour at the time of when this was posted. So now, as excited as we all were when MCR announced the brand new tour and also the return to the Black Parade, there was also something new about this trailer. The first thing is the content of the video shows a Soviet Union inspired building with a dictator representing a combination of dictators, likely of dictators throughout history. I'm thinking most notably Hitler or Stalin around there. In the description, it also mentions how after the Mexico City performance the night the Black Parade died, they were sent to the moat and were actually alive all of this time. And this takes place in a country known as DRAAG. So it is unsure what the moat is exactly. My personal guess that the moat represents jail in a way. I'm believing the Black Parade was sent to jail after the Mexico City performance and now has been released since by the Grand Immortal Dictator, the dictator of DRAAG. And basically, in return for their release, they have to basically perform for his own enjoyment in a way. There is a theory that someone posted on Reddit, on the MCR subreddit, that connects the Black Parade and Danger Days storyline, which I'll explain in a little bit. Now, what's interesting about this trailer is that the timing of this trailer is really interesting because a week earlier was when the election of Donald Trump becoming our current 47th president of the United States. And many across the U.S. Definitely view Donald Trump as an authoritarian or fascist leader of our country. And this, especially among MCR fans, they definitely view him as that. So, and this was definitely a theory by some fans early on when the tour was being originally announced, that the Grand Immortal Dictator represented Trump, which I don't know, maybe he does in a way, but remember, Gerard Way had this idea basically since early 2024, so, or maybe even earlier than that. We don't exactly know yet, but thankfully, Nate Piekos, who designed the letter font that we'd see during the tour, he basically told the entire story and kind of told when this all kind of in a way started. So, but the idea of this happening could have been way back. Honestly, it could even have been during the original Black Parade production. So, yeah. Next slide. Now, along with what we kind of see in the trailer, we also have some new characters in some of the videos. The most notable character out of all of them is the Grand Immortal Dictator. But in one video, you see a woman singing opera for the government, and in another, you see a dog eating food laid by the government. There was also a woman you could see with sunglasses in the first video, and I believe in the second one as well. What is also interesting is that when they announced the tour, all the tour dates were really just major states or cities, and had a really interesting set of openers for the shows, ranging from the Violet Femmes, Pixies, Alice Cooper, Evanescence, and so much more. But to be fair, though, Evanescence and MCR doing a show together was definitely a long time coming for sure, because a lot of fans I know definitely wanted to see that happen. But another question we have to also ask is, what is DRAAG? As we know right now, it is a country that is inspired by the Soviet Union in Eastern Europe. The leader of DRAAG is the Grand Immortal Dictator. The military band of DRAAG is the Black Parade. The language of DRAAG that you see in the promotional video or on the screen before the show is called Kaposhka. Their national anthem is named Over Fields. Now, the question should honestly be is, where did DRAAG come from? And most importantly, what happened to the patient? Because remember, this album was originally about a man dying of cancer and his experiences with death, the afterlife, and his life prior. So, now that DRAAG is the city that is featured in this production, it is likely theorized that DRAAG was the city that was featured in the background in the original Black Parade music video, and some fans are even theorizing that it could be the city that is featured in the background during the reunion tour back in 2022 and 2023. And this basically is what happened to that city like since then from that tour. Now, one theory points out that the patient is the Grand Immortal Dictator, and the Black Parade being alive is what keeps him alive. However, I do not think that is the case. And the reason I say that is the Grand Immortal Dictator overlooks the country. And based on the Anthem video, why would a dictator purposely live in environmental conditions that are so bad enough for him to succumb to it? Now, don't get me wrong. I know there's some dictators that are like dumb enough to do that. Like there's some leaders in the world that are dumb enough to do that kind of thing, to put environmental problems onto people without realizing that it affects them as well. But you'd think that the Grand Immortal Dictator, considering he lives and works in a really nice and elegant building, he would be able to avoid getting sick from the environment because he only would care for himself, basically. That's just my theory. It's a little wonky, but I mean, in a way, it kind of makes sense. So, yeah. But another thing to also know, remember when I said the Black Parade and the Danger Days might be connected? Well, I'll tell you why. Okay, so it was after the tour had began that somebody posted on Reddit about the Lord Long Live Black Parade. And basically they said this, and I quote, "So the new tour basically connects the Black Parade and Killjoys into one big story. The timeline is that after the Black Parade era, the band was exiled by the oppressive DRAAG regime. During their 17 years in the wasteland, they fought against the corporation known as Blind, which is the corporate enemies featured in Danger Days. And they became the Killjoys, the heroes of Danger Days, creating all those rebellious songs. The concert is what happens after Blind captures them, maybe after singing a song off Danger Days. They are being forced to act as their old rehabilitated selves, the Black Parade, as a propaganda stunt. This is why the Killjoys songs are not found in the first part of the concert. They're banned. They're proof of the rebellion the corporation wants everyone to forget. The slap on the stage is the signal, is the trigger that makes Gerard's true rebel identity resurface. When he holds up the murder magazine during the sleep buildup, it is a deliberate signal that he's still a killjoy deep down. The fire used at the end symbolizes the whole repressive regime burning down as the band finally reclaims their true identity. Now, that is actually a pretty good theory, but however, though, this was only the first show, and that there was many more shows that were basically going to have the same kind of storyline throughout all the concerts, though with minor alterations. So in a way, this theory kind of doesn't work anymore at this point. And we also got to mention about the fact that when they said that the oppressive regime burns down at the end, not really exactly, because, and I say that because the Grand Immortal Dictator is still alive at the end after all the explosion, and he's like clapping. So in a way, he is still in control of what's going on. Okay, so a few days after the initial announcement trailer, this ended up happening. And here we have another announcement video entitled Opera. And as you can see, we have the Grand Immortal Dictator sitting right there on his throne, along with some other government officials. So we see some new and some familiar faces. We see what the girl in the sunglasses, which is assumed to be Marianne, the opera singer in the live show. We see one of the clerks. And we see another woman starting to sing opera. Now, I don't know about you, but in some performances, Marianne's sister Sylvia sings during Mama, during like the times when Marianne is not able, like the actor for Marianne is not able to make it to the performance. Marianne's sister Sylvia will step in and sing the national anthem and her part in Mama. And the way of how Sylvia dresses is similar to the woman singing opera to the Grand Immortal Dictator in the video, which leads me to believe that it is Sylvia, though probably played by a different actor early on, because the character in this video is played by a woman named Helena Geraci. I think that's how you say her name, or Geraci or Geraci or something like that. The person who plays Sylvia in the live performances is Charlotte Kelso. And we'll get to the tour characters in just a second. But yeah, to kind of hopefully prove my point, or kind of like my theory in reality, like you see how Sylvia dresses, right? Like in the live performance on the left, and you see how this woman here is like dressed in the video. Kind of similar to each other, right? Especially the black fur around their arms. Like, I don't know about you, but that definitely gives me some kind of like similarity between these two. It makes me believe that it is the same character in some way, just in different outfits. But however, the one main difference though with these characters is that Sylvia in the live performance is wearing an eye patch, whereas the woman in the opera video is not wearing any eye patch at all. So yeah, so it may honestly be a different person, but I honestly think it could be the same person. So then the YouTube channel of MCR is quiet for a while, and then they posted again with this. Basically, it is a video of food laid out for a dog, and he's eating all the food with the help of the two twin soldiers right there. So this video is entitled as a feast. I don't really think there was really anything cryptic to note about this video, but I think this is supposed to lay out the foundation and the imagery of the storyline more, so that way we're familiar with it by the time the show opens to the public. This video features the two twin soldiers, like I said, and along with Marianne and the dog from the Instagram post that MCR had posted not long after the initial cryptic post that led up to the original announcement. That post in particular, the one right here, was captioned "Good Boy," which is a lot of fans theorize that it could be a potential new MCR song for a new album, which I don't know, maybe it is. So after that, it goes quiet again for a little while, and then a month later, in May 2025, this happens. This right here was the official announcement video for the Black Parade's official return to Mexico City. Now, why is the announcement so significant for the Black Parade to return to Mexico City? Well, I'll tell you why. Because first things first, Mexico City is where the Black Parade was killed off in the first place. On October 24th, 2007, MCR announced that the last time they'd ever be playing as the Black Parade would be on that very stage in Mexico City. And to commemorate that performance, they recorded it, and you can find that concert video on their channel. Recommend it. Probably one of their best shows ever. So when they announced this show, so how they announced it was like an old propaganda like news broadcast from what I'm assuming is like DRAAG TV or something like that. And the show is billed as the Black Parade alive in Mexico City. Now, this led to theories that MCR could be recording a new concert film almost 18 years later since the final performance of the Black Parade. Okay, so after all of this follow-up with all these promos and everybody theorizing online about what could be happening, finally came the show, the moment we have been waiting for. So the Long Live the Black Parade tour officially opened in Seattle, Washington on July 11th, 2025. And when they opened, that meant the tour officially began. Okay, so now for the rest of this presentation, I'm going to explain the cast of the show first before I explain each individual show of the tour to kind of tell you the alterations. I'm going to first explain the cast. So I'm going in chronological order as best as I can with this cast, so here we go. So the first person we got on stage is a guy known as the Clerk for the majority of the show. He is like the supervisor character in DRAAG and is supposed to keep the Black Parade in line during the entire performance of the show. He also regularly checks in with the band, especially Gerard, to ensure such, and also helps pass out items for the band during the show if they're in like a specific city. So the same guy that plays the Clerk comes out as like a clown at the end of the show during the end reprise, and it's unknown as to why his presence is such, though people have theorized maybe as to what this could mean, like symbolism wise. One big theory about what this could symbolize is that Gerard is seeing himself as the clown like at the end of the show, which could be possible. The clown eventually kills Gerard at the end of the show, and like the Black Parade itself is like dragged off stage, which I thought was really interesting with them being dragged off stage. And this is something I didn't really mention in the slideshow, but I thought this was interesting because the Black Parade is dragged off by government officials. They're being chased off and everything. That made me think, could this represent what maybe the U.S. is going through, like, you know, people like being deported maybe? Like, could this actually represent maybe a little bit of it? Like, or people being taken away by government officials, getting arrested and everything on the streets. Like, could this represent that? Like with the Black Parade being dragged off stage? I have no idea. But that is one theory that came into my head. I'm not sure if anyone else has this theory, but if so, like I definitely see the connections for sure. But as to why the clown kills Gerard, I don't exactly know yet. As for the clerk slash the clown, he is played by a man named Charlie Saxon, and his work is known for being Bug in Band Slam, Melvin from the video game Bully, and Jerry Jaeger from Workaholics, and there's more to the list that you can find. Okay, then the next people on the list is you have the DRAAG National Auxiliary Band. The DRAAG National Auxiliary Band is the touring band for the Black Parade section of the Long Live the Black Parade tour. It consists of Kaylee Goldsworthy on violin, Clarice Jensen on cello, and Tucker Rule on drums. Now, a couple things to know about like the members of these of the touring band. Tucker Rule is the drummer for the band The Thursday, which is a band that is really good friends with MCR. They've been friends pretty much since the beginning of MCR. And Tucker even toured with MCR for some performances on drums during the original Black Parade tour. So in a way, it kind of brings it full circle. He comes out on stage at the beginning of the show and does like a military style, like a drum like march at the beginning, along with the clerk and the soldiers. And we'll get into the soldiers in a second. Clarice Jensen also plays the cello during the Black Parade section of the show, but also plays the cello during the intermission while the band transitions from the A stage to the B stage, which is in the middle of the audience. Okay, now the next character we're going to examine is the Grand Immortal Dictator himself. He's basically the star of the show along with the Black Parade. The Grand Immortal Dictator is the leader of the country known as DRAAG. He overlooks the performance of the Black Parade and orders the execution of his enemies, which the band carries out in an election-style system of voting. He is played by an actor named Wayne J, who appears most of the time during the tour, but in some like performances, most notably the first couple of performances, including the Toronto show, the character was played by a realistic looking like puppet version. So yeah, the next characters we got here are the two twin Russian soldiers, along with the clerk and Tucker Rule entering the stage at the beginning of the performance. We see the two twin soldiers from the video entering as well, with wheat to lay down in front of the drum set, which many fans assume is a silent tribute to the late and longtime drummer for MCR, who played on the Black Parade album, which is Bob Breyer. The twins are played by Philip Rivega and Kirill Rivega. They're a social media influencer duo together, and they are known as on social media Twins from Russia. Go check them out. Okay, the next characters we have right here is Marianne, which is on the left, and her father on the right. Now, Marianne is the guest opera singer, and her father is the one that escorts her on the stage. Marianne sings the national anthem of DRAAG, known as Overfields, at the beginning of the show, and sings the part that originally belonged to Liza Minnelli in the Mama song from the Black Parade. Liza Minnelli sang like only a couple lines on that particular song, and Marianne sings her part basically during Mama. Marianne is played by an opera singer named Lucy Joy Atlas, and her father, who doesn't have a name yet, like other than being known as Marianne's father. But hopefully we'll have more story to him, or maybe like have a name for the father. He is played by a man named Mike Cormier. Now, the thing to note is that Marianne is blind, but according to Gerard Way, when she sings, she can see everything. Many fans interpret this to be a metaphor for being blind to the regime. Okay, the next person on this cast, so it's unknown if he's has a more specific title other than being called the clerk. I like to call him the clerk too, just because just because there's another clerk and everything. So the most notable times he ever appears is in the promo trailers, and during the Dodger Stadium show in LA, he like appears on the screen and he's like taking notes basically of the performance. And the only time he ever fully comes on stage is during the Boston show. So yeah. The clerk right here in this picture is played by a man named Sean Michael Conway. Okay, now we have the sister to Marianne. Sylvia is a sister to Marianne who also sings opera just like her. So when Lucy is unable to play Marianne in the show, Sylvia, who's played by her friend Charlotte Kelso, will step onto the stage for the opera performance. She has appeared at the Boston show and the Shaky Knees Festival performance in Atlanta. Now, this character seems a little bit more rebellious in the way that she acts, especially during the festival performance, because it seemed like she didn't want to be dragged on stage by her father, and didn't want. So this could be like a sign of not wanting to be like controlled. So Marianne is blind to the regime, but Sylvia could probably see everything within the regime, considering she can actually see. So this could be like a symbolism for that. Okay, another character we got to point out is the Gentleman. The Gentleman is a puppet held by Gerard, especially during the song Mama. He has occasionally dropped notes about the backstory of this character, with the most prominent note being that they both met in prison. This could likely be a reference from the Revenge album song, You Know What They Do to Guys Like Us in Prison. He also helped Gerard with the countdown to Marianne or Sylvia singing the Liza Minnelli line from Mama. Now, out of all of these characters, that really like makes me wonder is I'm kind of really curious about this particular person. Now, there's no name to this character yet, but I call him Burning Man because basically what happens is during Mama, when it kind of goes into the bridge section, there's a man that runs across stage that is on fire. And I don't know why he's on fire. And my theory is that the Grand Moral Dictator probably set him on fire for maybe something he did. Okay, now with the cast out of the way, now let's talk about every show that has happened so far within this tour and its significance each night. I also want to point out that MCR has announced more dates of the tour, and the information I'm going to give you right now is just based off the performances that have already happened so far within the year of 2025. So some things that I could be telling you right now could have changed by the time the 2026 days start. All right, now we have to start out with the Seattle show first. This show is what started the entire tour. It gave us the introduction to these new characters within the story of the Black Parade. In the show, Gerard is given a paper during the Sharpest Lives by the clerk, referred the election after the Black Parade as an experiment of democracy, received another warning from the clerk before getting slapped in the face. He brings a friend known as Mary Ann onto the stage to sing, and he reads a book entitled Murder while building up to the song Sleep. At the end of the show, he is stabbed by a clown, and then the clown blows himself up. Okay, so not even long after that, this performance of the tour, the first performance of the tour, by the way, happened, it started to get some controversy. And here's what happened. So, first show of the tour, and it's already going good, but it's already getting some mixed reactions. Mainly in a Facebook group filled with some conservative music fans who only appreciate MCR likely because they only have heard a couple of their hit songs. A woman on TikTok posted themselves on their profile, and basically it's showing their reactions to the show. And clearly, as you can see right here, she's barely enjoying the show and is like, what the heck is this? As they sit down, eating God knows what in their freaking cowboy boots. What are you doing at an MCR show, all of you supposed fans that are mad at the band? These so-called fans think MCR just become woke after the tour had begun. As if MCR and Gerard Way weren't woke already. The world today, am I right? Oh, wait. Let's see. Let's take a look at the facts here. MCR formed after 9/11. They are supportive of LGBTQIAP+ people. They stopped playing in Arizona for a while due to the controversial immigration law back in 2010. So there you go. There's your facts. And there's a lot more facts out there about their politics. You're just mad because MCR, for the first time, is now directly being upfront and now is talking about you. And then this is the Facebook post that showed the source of basically people complaining. So let's take a look at these comments that you can see right here. First things first, we got this person named Andy Greatorex, which I don't know if Andy's a dinosaur or something like that. Is Andy a dinosaur? Because he's got like a dinosaur last name. So anyway, Andy Dinosaur mentioned weird demonic stuff. Then we got somebody named Denise Spencer who's saying MK Ultra in progress. I'm unsure if that was mocking them or if they were just reading what was going on. I'm pretty sure they were mocking them. Then we got a man by the name of Phil Coates saying just expressing outrage, and I'm like Phil Coates, as if that name didn't sound fake enough. I honestly can believe that somebody probably made fake Facebook accounts just to troll MCR in a way. Yeah, but yeah, just your classic, Facebook, trolls, your classic older Facebook trolls who are afraid to complain in public, and they always prefer to hide behind a screen. A little bit like Reddit in a way. Now, you ask me about MCR always being woke. Well, here's your proof right here. Let's see. My Chemical Romance, Esther's statement about re-boycott. They're officially back on a sound strike. That meant they are striking Arizona because of the controversial immigration law back in 2010. And then we got an article from the article the article page Them, which explains about how My Chemical Romance's Gerard Way became a queer icon. So if that doesn't already give you proof enough that MCR has always been woke, and even just attitude-wise and personality on the stage, if you watch the past performances, especially the song You Know What They Do to Guys Like Us in Prison, I think it will give you a hint about their wokeness. Okay, now that stuff is out of the way, let's get back into explaining about the shows. So the San Francisco show is the second show on the tour. This happened on July 19, 2025. This show is similar to the previous show with some alterations. First things first, during the election after the Black Parade, Gerard tells the crowd how he mistaken the words election with execution, and then clarifies that it is actually a vote for an execution. This probably is in response to how the mixed response articles were going around, and this is basically Gerard basically taunting them now at this point up front. The lights went out for a second, which I don't know why they went out for a second, but they apparently did. When they turned back on, Gerard received a phone call from what is likely the Grand Immortal Dictator, and he mentioned about how someone they both know is turning 78, and the person on the phone is asking what they want for their birthday. I'm assuming Gerard was assuming referring to his mom, because that's the only person I can think of in his life that he could probably refer to that is turning 78, or maybe somebody else, or it could even honestly be his grandma, the one that inspired Elena, even though she's passed already a long time ago. He could be referring to her because based on the storyline in the Black Parade, and I'll explain that again in a little bit. After Mama, there was a small fire that needed to be put out, and someone in the crowd yelled, "Thank you for making us feel alive," which the crowd cheered. During the B stage, MCR officially started doing a cover, which they never really do covers, just so you know. They did a cover of a song known as Bullet with Butterfly Wings, a very popular song of the 90s, and personally, a personal favorite of mine, by the Smashing Pumpkins. This became a reoccurring song for the B-stage set of the tour. All right, now we get on to my favorite, probably my favorite show out of all the tour, Los Angeles, and mainly because I attended one of these days. So, Los Angeles. So this show opened with the Grand Immortal Dictator himself, alive and in person, during the intro, making his way to the throne. There is the other clerk on the stadium screens taking notes during the performance for both shows. Gerard refers LA as Transylvania. During the election moment, he grabs a hot dog and says, "Hot dog!" And also reminds the audience of the rules, which, funny enough, I saw a video online where somebody apparently got taken out, like actually got taken out by security during that moment, which I find funny. The rest of the show, nothing is really different, but during the B stage set of the performance is really historic because MCR officially played an unreleased song, an actual unreleased song from what was supposed to be the Paper Kingdom, the Scrapped Fifth album, a song known as War Beneath the Rain, and they dedicated it to their late audio engineer, Doug McKean, who passed away about a couple years back. So I thought that was pretty cool that they unearthed an unreleased song because, you know, in a way, it's kind of getting close to maybe a possible release someday. I know there's a lot of people that believe in MCR 5, and I'm definitely for it. So then we got July 27th, 2025, the performance I attended. And I'm going to give my personal thoughts on the performance. I really liked that performance. Probably one of the best experiences. First ever MCR show I ever saw. And I remember I came to the show in my Scott Pilgrim MCR combined shirt. I was like wearing it. And I remember I was trying to find my seat with my sister. And I remember there was this one girl with like purple hair that was like just sitting down. She kind of like looked like my age or maybe a little younger, and she like said like, "Oh, I like your shirt," and I told her, you know, thank you. So I thought that was a pretty cool moment because you know, it's not often I feel like we get, you know, compliments just out in the open like that. So I thought that was pretty cool, and especially, you know, at a concert that I was gonna really enjoy being at anyway. So I thought that was pretty cool. I just wanted to mention about that. Shout out to that one girl if you end up watching this video. The show opened again with the Grand Immortal Dictator making his way to the throne, but this time the light actually shined on him during the pre-show when the song "Tonight You Belong to Me" by Patience and Prudence plays over the speaker. Gerard talks during the execution scene about how the Black Parade became the spokesband for the Dodger Dogs, and he passes them out into the audience, and the vote for that performance is if the Grand Immortal Dictator should have ketchup or mustard on the hot dog, which the vote goes for mustard, which FYI, Gerard prefers ketchup on hot dogs. They once again play the Smashing Pumpkins cover on the B stage during that show. Okay, now the next show after Los Angeles was Arlington, Texas, and this was the only show in Texas, so here we go. So the show starts out with the same intro, and during the introductions that Gerard makes after the song Dead, he presents the Grand Immortal Dictator to the audience, who is wearing a cowboy hat for that performance in respect to the state of Texas and paying tribute to local culture. During the execution, one of the guns missed on one of the people that they were supposed to kill during the execution. So, in regards to that, they award them with a 2009 car. Now, some fans theorize that the 2009 car represents the Black Parade's knowledge on time. The rest of the show is the same, and during the B stage, they played some songs off Conventional Weapons, which I thought was pretty cool. And once again, both the Smashing Pumpkins cover and War Beneath the Rain. Okay, the next show we got is East Rutherford, New Jersey. Now, this was a big show for them because one particular reason, like a couple particular reasons why is, one, it is their hometown show, and two, Frank Iero, one of the guitarists for My Chemical Romance, posted a post about how like basically a year before they got back together, My Chemical Romance got back together, how he had a dream where MCR was playing MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. That's the biggest venue in New Jersey, I think. And he had this dream about that, and he texted it to the guys. And I think this is basically the conversation that reignited the whole idea of like, let's get MCR back together again. Because we've all heard the stories about how the band got together more when their kids started getting together. But I feel like this text conversation was when they were like, you know what? Let's get the band back together. So in a way, it kind of brings that story full circle because now they can finally get to live out that dream, especially Frank, who had this dream in his mind in the first place. So here's the things to know about the show. a different intro song plays over the speaker. The song is called 76 Trombones, and it's from a musical called The Music Man. Tucker Rule actually played 2 times during that night because remember, like I said, he was the band drummer. He was the band drummer for Thursday. So Thursday played as an opening act for that show, and Tucker Rule ended up being on the DRAAG National Auxiliary Band afterwards. During Gerard's introduction, he refers to Black Parade's home as New Jersey because when he's greeting New Jersey, he says, "The Black Parade is home." So I don't know how the Black Parade is somehow from New Jersey if they're supposed to be the military band of DRAAG. I have no idea. The Grand Immortal Dictator during this introduction is also given spaghetti for some reason. And during the Black Parade, it's interrupted because the mayor of Belleville, New Jersey, Michael Melham, he comes out onto the stage, gives a speech about how significant MCR is, and then he awards them all with a key to the city, which that's actually pretty cool. That's pretty sweet, and the fact that this was in their hometown. So, yeah. And then Gerard thanks the mayor in character, obviously as the Black Parade, before restarting the whole show, or not the whole show, but like restarting the Black Parade and also doing the execution as well. During the B stage, they start off with the set by playing Skylines and Turnstiles, the first ever MCR song written. To end the show, they actually played a cover of Bon Jovi's Living on a Prayer, which Gerard referred as the New Jersey State Anthem, which I don't really know the backstory behind that. If anyone can explain that part to me, I would like to know. But I thought that was pretty cool, and and I do love that song, so pretty cool. Okay, so the next show we got is Philadelphia. This is one of my favorite shows because Alice Cooper opened for the show. At this show, the band comes out earlier during the anthem and gives the clerk something on stage. Now, this is likely the individual keys they received during the previous show when the mayor gave him the key to the city, because it looked like they were giving him keys in the Philadelphia show. During the execution, they passed out cheesesteaks as they became the sponsor with the help of the Philadelphia Phillies mascot, Philly Fanatic, on stage. In that scene as well, Gerard holds up a sign that says chicken and fish before choosing the right sign, which is a yay or nay, and proceeding like usual. The rest of the show, nothing really happens that's different. The B stage I thought was pretty cool because I started with Head First for Halos, and that's definitely kind of like a little bit of a rare song if you think about it. So that was pretty awesome. Okay, so I really liked Toronto because this very show, what's significant about the intro is that the Grand Immortal Dictator was once again played by a puppet. I'm not sure what exactly happened with Wayne regarding to the Grand Immortal Dictator, why he couldn't appear as him. If Wayne, if you're watching this video, maybe hope we can answer that question for us. I'm assuming maybe it was something within the tour contract, or maybe he had a prior commitment. He is an actor after all. The band proceeded on as usual, and during the execution continued the new sign that was first mentioned in Philadelphia, where the audience voted on either chicken or fish. Gerard talks about the gentleman during Mama, and the rest after that proceeded as usual. Now, one really cool and sweet moment that happened during the B stage was when Gerard recognized a fan in the audience who was actually a Make-A-Wish kid with cancer. And her wish was to meet Gerard Way and go to the museum with him. She held up a photo of them together, and Gerard spotted her during Na 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 and then called her out after the song, which I thought that was actually really, really cool. Because, as an artist, there's so many fans in the crowd, and sure, many fans can hold up things, but I feel like it's kind of cool that Gerard is able to kind of spot every individual thing that's up close to him, because I feel like as an artist, myself, if I ever end up playing with my band in a big stadium show, even though that probably won't happen anytime soon, but if that ever did happen, I feel like I'd have a hard time spotting out people because so much is happening all at once, in my opinion. All right, we got a lot to talk about the Chicago performance. So the interesting thing about MCR performing in Chicago was this was the night after Oasis performed their first ever United States show in almost 16 years. So they literally took down the Oasis stage and put up the MCR stage the next day, which that is impressive. And like, I don't know how they did that, like overnight, basically. I don't know how they did that. Like, that was really impressive. So the show went on like usual, but what's interesting is that fans in front were handed bracelets by the twin soldiers that had letters in Kaposhka, their made-up language. Fans decoded this letters into the words "We are stuck," which indicates that the Black Parade is stuck in a time loop, hence the reason the same story keeps happening every single night. Yes. Now, before Cancer, like every show on the tour, the clerk arrives to give Gerard a paper. But what is interesting about this time is that now we can actually hear what they're saying towards each other. Gerard is like, why do I feel like I've done this? Wait, I haven't done this before. And the clerk is like, just take it and read it. Just take it and read it. And then, he slaps them, and the storyline goes on like usual. Now, remember what I said during the San Francisco part of the slide of how Gerard was referring to somebody during the phone call and everything? Now, the reason why I think it could also be his grandma, Elena, the person who inspired Helena and kind of like inspired kind of like the direction that My Chemical Romance would be, is that the Black Parade does not know what time it is. And it could be that the Black Parade leader is has somebody that is really that they really love, but they probably don't even know that that this person that they care about most is dead because they're stuck in a time loop. So that's why I think maybe the grandmother could play into this particular story in a way. So intermission became a moment of silence actually before the band finally came back on stage, because the fans saw a sign that went up on the screen, and basically the band finally paid more tribute to their late drummer Bob Breyer, especially in his hometown, because Bob Breyer is from Chicago, so they paid tribute to him in his hometown where he grew up. Basically, it's like a picture of him in the Black Parade uniform that he had, and obviously it says 1979 to 2024. So yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool that they paid more tribute to him, because I feel like in a way we definitely needed something from the band other than maybe the silent tribute. During the B stage at the end of the show, Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins, a Chicago native by the way, he joined the band to perform the cover of Bullet with Butterfly Wings, which I thought that was pretty cool. Now, a lot of people, the reason why Smashing Pumpkins is known within the MCR community is because Gerard Way and Billy Corgan have been told by fans, or have been posted by fans, that they kind of look alike with each other, like how Billy could be Gerard's father and Gerard being his son, even though they are literally just their age differences is 10 years apart from each other, which is pretty crazy. Another reason why is one of the biggest shows that inspired MCR to be who they are today is Mikey Way went to see the Smashing Pumpkins in concert, and he ended up taking Gerard to the concert, and they really just they both loved what the Smashing Pumpkins did on that stage. So that inspired them definitely creatively and musically of what the band they would eventually end up being. Okay, so the Boston show. So the Boston show was on September 7th, 2025. Now, at this show, the two clerks walked out onto the stage, but the other clerk seemed to be checking in more on the clerk that we're used to, which is Charlie Saxon, by the way. So it almost if the one we know, which is Charlie Saxon, the one that slaps Gerard every single night, was breaking the rules, which that's interesting. Another introduction in this performance was Marianne's sister, Sylvia, as she sang Marianne's parts during the show. After the end reprise, the clown picks up Gerard and plays him like a puppet before carelessly throwing him back onto the ground. Okay, so now we get on to basically what is the main final show of this tour, and that is Tampa, September 13th, 2025. Let's get into it. So this is another favorite show of mine because Evanescence opened for them. So this was definitely a long time show waiting to happen, and Gerard even said himself that he got to say hi to Amy Lee from the band, and they took a picture together, which I'll put in the video, hopefully. And this was definitely a long time waiting to happen. So this is pretty cool that they finally got to play a show together. The show started off as usual, and Gerard referred Tampa as Tampa Bay, California. How are you? Like during the introduction. The execution reveals that the 4 candidates, remember, because in the Seattle show, Gerard refers the 4 people as candidates. They are apparently the Black Parade this entire time. The Grand Immortal Dictator rigged this election because the signs during that show only said yay. One on the front and one on the back. Like both said yay, both sides. And it got to the point where the band wanted the audience so bad to say nay that Frank held a made-up sign saying nay on a notebook. And he was like, can we count this one? Before Cancer, the clerk comes out on a stage with an armed cast, and he hugs Gerard on stage, and I thought that was pretty cool. It seems like they made up, or they know something's gonna happen, like they're foreshadowing something. After the end reprise, where the clown supposedly stabbed Gerard to death, Gerard is actually alive this time and runs away from the clown, but runs back on stage to try to get him as revenge. They both give up, hug each other, hold hands, and die from the explosion. And what an ending to the first part of the tour. And that's definitely just the beginning of what's about to come next. All right, so basically the final show of this whole entire tour was actually the Shaky Knees performance, which is the Shaky Knees Festival in Atlanta. So as a result of more limited time during the performance and the limited room for the theatrical actions of the show, the execution was notably cut from the show. And the Grand Immortal Dictator sat actually in the rafters on the stage, like over on the left right there. Or no, wait, on the right, actually. Gerard reveals that the reason that they went on tour was because they can afford plutonium for the for DRAAG, as he said, and I quote, "Because plutonium costs money." You know what I'm saying? That's what he said. Sylvia once again was brought in for the role of singing the national anthem of DRAAG and Mama. After the Black Parade set ended, the band quickly rushed off stage and got back on stage as soon as they could to play a couple of their hit songs and end with the bonus song, which was Boy Division from Conventional Weapons. Okay, so one thing to note is that MCR did announce some days in 2026, but these seem more like non-Black Parade show days. They just seem like more regular MCR days considering how they were announced. But it could be possible as part of the tour, but I don't think that is the case. So for the rest of the weekend, it felt quiet, but however, fans began to theorize along with the confirmation from a source close to MCR that said on Reddit that there would be more tour dates to be announced. And then on Monday, this happened. An official announcement video, along with an assembling of every single person within the cast, gathered all together to take a photo that actually was a recreation of the 2006 original cast photo of the Black Parade. And they officially announced new tour dates, not only just in the US, but now in Europe, in the UK, and much more. Pretty cool. So obviously with the tour dates announced, this meant the second part of Black Parade tour. So what can we expect from the second leg of the tour? So we don't know much yet of what is going to happen, but there is a high chance of new storylines and lore added to the general story between the Black Parade and the Grand Immortal Dictator. The Grand Immortal Dictator, I'm hoping he will finally speak during the tour shows, like during the Black Parade shows, because he doesn't really speak in the in the shows that we've seen so far. So hopefully he'll have more lines. I mean, hey, if you're gonna play a dictator role plays, wouldn't you want lines? Because because you're the boss of basically everybody at the performance. Wouldn't you want to have more of a role than what you already have? But I'm hoping the Grand Immortal Dictator will have something to say during some of the shows, because it'd be interesting to hear. It'd be interesting to hear what he has to say. So the Mexico show is the show that a lot of fans believe a new recording of the Black Parade live will happen. But I personally believe that the tour will be recorded, if so, at the Hollywood Bowl, which is where the final shows will be at. This is also because a lot of people are believing that the final tour days is when the Grand Immortal Dictator will be potentially killed by the band. That's what a lot of fans are theorizing, is that the final show, the Grand Immortal Dictator will be killed forever. And if anything, MCR recording it at Hollywood Bowl actually could make a lot of sense, in my opinion, because this is in a way kind of their second home, and also it feels more theatrical being at the Hollywood Bowl in a way, because I believe that they are probably going to use the orchestra that is already at the Hollywood Bowl when the national anthem is played, and maybe even during some of the songs, and maybe particularly Mama, for example. But it's also unknown, however, who is playing the first Hollywood Bowl shows for openers. However, they did announce who is opening for them in Europe and the UK. I'm not going to mention every single tour date on the slide. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to see the tour dates and see who's opening for them currently right now. It wasn't long after the new tour dates announcement when we got this announcement as well. My Chemical Romance. 2 more shows at the Hollywood Bowl, but here's the significance. Friday, October 30th, 2026, special guest, The Used. Saturday, October 31st, 2026, special guest, Thrice. And the 31st is the official final performance of the tour. Now, why is the 30th significant? And I'll tell you why. This means MCR and The Used are reuniting for a show together. That is pretty big. Okay, so you're probably wondering, okay, why is MCR and The Used that significant? Why are they playing a show? Why is that significant to us? Well, I'll tell you why. So back in the early days of MCR, the band was friends with The Used, especially with Gerard Way being friends with their lead singer Burt McCracken. These two were basically best friends and had a really close relationship. They would occasionally joke with each other on stage all the time, and this led to MCR and The Used covering Under Pressure by Queen together, and Burt's vocals being featured on the song You Know What They Do to Guys Like Us in Prison from the Revenge album. However, these two unfortunately were heavily addicted to drugs, and then them being together kind of fed each other into their respective addictions, which led to Gerard eventually sobering and distancing himself and the band from The Used. However, Burt felt betrayed because he was still struggling with addiction at the time, so I felt like kind of everybody that was kind of a support to him kind of left him at that point. This led to them falling out, and a lot of fans believe that The Used song Pretty Handsome Awkward and My Chemical Romance's The Sharpest Lies from the Black Parade are about each other. But finally, when Burt got sober, he and Gerard had reconciled and were planning to possibly even do a MCR The Used show together in 2020, but then a funny thing happened during that year. So that's why MCR and The Used playing together is significant. I personally believe that this show will feature a performance of You Know What They Do to Guys Like Us in Prison, and Burt will be on vocals for that particular show. And I also believe that this show will probably end with the both of them singing Under Pressure together live for the first time since 2004. So that's basically all the information that there is right now with the Black Parade tour. There's obviously a lot more theories online from fans that have dug in more to kind of every a different thing that has gone on stage, or it be a person or an item, or just even the background of the set. They've gone into more and kind of given their own theories. So I definitely recommend you check those people out if you can find them on YouTube. That is basically just what I have to say about the MCR tour, and it got dark pretty quickly apparently, but thankfully you can still hear me, hopefully, and you can still see this. So I want to thank you all for joining in on this video. If you like this video, please leave a comment like, and a subscribe. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please let me know. I do music covers, I do commentary, I do a bunch of variety stuff on this channel. I think there'll be something for everybody, hopefully. And if not, hopefully you'll learn to like something at the end of the day. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. See you next time.